Welcome into the NFL opening line report for Monday, October 19th. This is NFL Week 7 opening line report. He's Teddy Covers. I am Drew Martin. Happy Monday morning to you, Teddy.
Hey, Drew. How are you today, man?
I'm doing good. We got the two Monday night football games here. One of them Monday daytime. So interested in your opinion on that. And plus the real NFL opening line report, talking about the first game here, Kansas City, Buffalo, 277-278, 2 o'clock Pacific kick here, Teddy. We don't see this type of game very often. -5.5, 55.5 being the total here. That's -5.5, the Chiefs on the road. Any quick thoughts on this one?
So you were the guy that said you love the two games on Monday Night Football, on Monday nights, and that the NFL should do that all the time. And now, thanks to COVID, we're kind of getting that.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with two games on Monday nights. I kind of like it. Been nothing but Chiefs money. Lots of sharp money on the under for tonight's game. It is worth noting Kansas City falls into some very negative trends. When you look at Super Bowl winners off their first loss, they've been money losers the next week in 14 different roles. Significant money losers. Although the Bills, I really worry about them being out of sync. They were way out of sync on Tuesday, and now they're playing on a Monday. I worry about the short week for Buffalo here. But if I had to bet the game, I could only take the Bills plus the points. That being said, I don't have to play the game. I'm involved in the late game, not the early game.
Okay, and talking about it was Super Bowl winners off of their first loss have been a money burner.
Yeah, let me get the numbers on that.
And why you get that? I mean, the Monday nighter, the doubleheader on Monday nighter, Teddy. If I could get real particular here, and I'm sure a lot of people would know what I'm talking about. I wish it would start a little bit later because 2 o'clock Pacific kick here. I mean, a lot of people are still at work here. You know, we got to kind of take off the day type deal.
So, there's the issue with that, of course, is the TV contracts. When you have ESPN paying that kind of money for Monday Night Football. The billions of dollars they paid for that, they're like, nothing's running against it on a different network while we're doing this show. So the choices the networks have is we can go earlier, we can go later. Because the one's on Fox and the one's on ESPN, and they're competing networks. They were both on the same network. You might see some flexibility there. But the fact that they're not means that ESPN's like, we're keeping our slot. You guys got to find a different slot. So they went for the early slot, which I guess makes sense for the East Coast viewers. Super Bowl champs. And the game after their first loss of the season, 12-25 straight up. If the first loss was at home, 4-16 straight up. That includes losses each of the last 8 times. That's certainly from a trends and angles perspective, not great for Kansas City as road chalk tonight. Worth noting, Andy Reid, 9-19 off a home loss since 2011, 6-14 ATS off a home loss as a favorite since 2011. So neither the Super Bowl champs nor Andy Reid's teams have bounced back particularly well off the type of loss the Chiefs suffered last week.
Man, great stats there, Teddy. 12-25 Super Bowl team off of a loss. 4-17 was it?
4-16. And again, these are Ralph Michaels numbers. Actually, I think he got them from Mark Lawrence. These are from Mark Lawrence's Playbook newsletter. So I don't want to take credit for numbers that I did not personally run. However, I'm happy to talk about them when someone else does the work for me.
Absolutely. Mark Lawrence is our friend. Good handicapper there. So that's the first one here, starting in not too long. Monday kickoff here. We got the Monday nighter, Arizona at Dallas. Teddy, 275, 276, 5:15 Pacific kick here. Dallas -1 in Jerry's world, 55.5 being the total.
Yeah, when I did the NFL look-ahead line report with Joe Ranieri last week, and that's a new show that we just pulled out last week, was the first time we've done it. We're going to do it every week moving forward. But I talked about this line in particular. Dallas is going to take money. I think we talked about it last Monday, that the Cowboys were going to take money. The Cowboys have taken money. They went from 2.5-point dogs to 1-point favorites. The markets don't know what to do with Andy Dalton yet. How big a drop-off is it? How many points is it worth from Prescott to Dalton? Remember, Prescott, while he's put up monster stats, he's also made a bunch of mistakes. Last week, he was probably single-handedly responsible for keeping the Giants in the game for extended stretches. But if you've seen Andy Dalton play in a big game, and this is a big game for Dallas, that even in the pantheon of NFL backup quarterbacks, where Dalton, again, if you talk about backup quarterbacks, you got Jameis Winston, you got Tyrod Taylor, you got Andy Dalton as guys that are probably in the same category, maybe Nick Mullins for San Fran, that are, kind of in that same, they're certainly serviceable backups. But the markets have been very flip-floppy. Not flip-floppy. The opener on Dallas wasn't where the betting markets ended up pricing the drop-off from Prescott to Dalton. They priced that drop-off as being minimal, as opposed to a 4 or 5 point drop-off between the two QBs.
Okay, good stuff there, Teddy. We got a backdoor cover in the house. Colin Bross, Paul Blakeney saying 10 p.m. England start is a good time for today's NFL. So guys all around the world joining in. Appreciate each and every one of you coming in the chat box live. 10 a.m. Pacific time, simulcast on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Also, wherever you're downloading your podcasts at, remember Sports Memo Podcast, Jason Freeman, Christian Larson, Petrus Paniki, Max Paper, all you guys, welcome in and always interested in your thoughts on the NFL season. And Teddy, we got the NFL opening line report starting here. Looks like Cleveland, Cincinnati, 451, 452 for
Thursday night. Thursday night.
Excuse me. Yes. New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, NFC East fans, 45 being the total. Philadelphia Eagles -6, mostly across the board. There is a couple 6 in the hooks out there with the Eagles laying that at home.
Sure. Okay. So as we do every Monday on the show with the opening line report, I'm going to give the look-ahead line. That's a bettable line from us. We got to use the Westgate opening numbers here in Vegas. There were look-ahead lines across the world right now, but I use the Westgate numbers just because I've always used the Westgate numbers, and they're as good as any. So I'm also going to give you my power rating number for the game. We'll talk about where the markets opened and potentially where the markets are likely to move. Whenever we have a situation where the markets are moving, we'll give it a little emergency betting alert. Say, if you want this side, now's the time to get involved, or total. Now's the time to get involved. The markets are moving as we speak. So with the Giants and Philly, look ahead line, 6.5 Philadelphia. My power rating number 6. The betting market 6. The total sitting at 45. It does look like this total is going to get bet down. I don't know if I'm going to call this an emergency betting alert, but certainly if you like the under on Thursday night between this divisional matchup, I would say bet that sooner rather than later's. I mean, Carson Wentz couldn't have been worse yesterday. The first 6 drives, there were 5 3-and-outs and a fumble. All right, no first downs. The first 16 plays, they had a -7 yards. And then he rallied that team against Baltimore's defense. The offense is decimated. The offensive line is a disaster area. The playmaker now is Travis Fulgham, who, if you hadn't heard of him before 3 weeks ago, neither had I. That's true. I remember him from Old Dominion, but he's not anyone that anyone was thinking about as being an impact player in the NFL. And he's got 18 catches, 284 yards, and 3 touchdowns the last 3 weeks. But again, the injuries yesterday, Miles Sanders got hurt, didn't come back. Zach Ertz got knocked out of the game with an ankle injury. They already have a rookie right tackle, Jack Driscoll. He went out on a cart in the fourth quarter. There are issues. The Giants, they got their win yesterday, for what it's worth. They had no 3-and-outs all day. They didn't go 0 for 3 in the red zone. They only ran 46 plays the whole game. Joe Judge now off the schneid. However, this is a quote that stood out to me like a sore thumb about the Giants. We talk about, here's a team that just got off the schneid. They got their first win. Now they have to play on a short week. Are the Giants fat and happy, or are they hungry? Defensive lineman Leonard Williams, quote, "We finally got our win. We've been working hard and finally got to see some of the fruits of our labors. It was obviously an ugly win, though, but we got it." That is not a bet on quote for a team on a short week after they got off the schneid, in my opinion. Although I'll give this for the Giants. They, the defense made a play at the end of the game, to win it with the pick 6. Giants defense has been okay. The offense, Daniel Jones has now committed at least 1 turnover in 17 of his 18 career starts.
We finally got the win. Yeah, that wasn't a good start to that quote, Teddy. I could see where you were going with that one. So that does it for the Thursday nighter here. We do have the Sunday card, guys. Almost full card here on Sunday, October 25th slate. 451, 452 at the top of the card, Teddy. 10 a.m. Pacific kick here. We got Cleveland laying 3.5. There is a -4 out there. No, mostly 3 in the hooks right now. 51.5 being the total. Cleveland at Cincinnati, 1 Eastern kick here, Teddy.
Yeah, I get the sense that this line is going to move to 3. Let's start with this. Look ahead line was 3.5. My powering number was 3.5. The market's open 3.5. So there's not any of these deals where you say, all right, there's clear line value. That said, all right, when you look at the leading indicator books right now, there is at least a decent chance that since he's taken the money and the 3.5s aren't out there, especially because the Browns looked so awful yesterday and the Bengals, wire to wire cover. And of course, there are questions about how healthy Baker Mayfield's ribs are. It's a division game for the Browns. The Browns have played 2 division games so far this season. They've lost those games 76-13. And Mayfield was rough yesterday. And again, the offensive line for Cleveland had played great. They did not play great yesterday. Mayfield pressured on 52% of his dropbacks. And they entered the game, Cleveland, ranked number 2 in the NFL in pass block win rate. So maybe it was a bad game. Maybe it was the Steelers' defense. But it was certainly some concerns for a team with bruised ribs, or a QB with bruised ribs. That said, the Bengals, again, in this point spread range, they're 1-11-1 in one-score games in 2 years under Zach Taylor. The play calling was great yesterday. They scored their first 4 of their first 5 possessions. And then in the second half, they had 1 field goal. Randy Bullock missing field. Randy Bullock's only missed 2 field goals all season. One, the 2 biggest kicks they've had all year. One was they lost to the Chargers because he missed the field goal. And the second one was they had a chance to take a fourth quarter lead against Indy, and it bounced off the post. So there's hope for Cincinnati for the future. Yesterday's loss was a little bit disheartening for the Bengals. That said, I would not be surprised at all if Cincy takes money moving forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, Teddy. And just quick question here. Who do you think has the better quarterback in the battle for Ohio?
That's a good question. If Mayfield's ribs are like they were yesterday, then I'll give it to Burrow. Mm-hmm. But Cleveland is well ahead of Cincinnati in a lot of different areas, and I wouldn't, when Mayfield's healthy, I'd win one game. I'll take Mayfield with the Browns as opposed to Burrow with the Bengals.
Okay. Fair enough, Teddy. Let's head back to the NFC East here. We got the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Football Team, 49 being the total. We're seeing -3 in the hook or -3 with some juice on that. That's the Cowboys laying on the highway.
Yeah, that Sports Memo live odds screen is a great tool. I keep it open all day. You can get a chance of where the market's moving. You get a sense of where the numbers are going. And in this instance, let's start with the look ahead. The look ahead line was Dallas 3. My powering number is Dallas 6. I'm not very high on Washington. And the market's, as you mentioned, 3 -20 / 3.5. If you like the Cowboys tonight, you think the Cowboys are going to cover tonight, and you're interested for next week, lay 3 here.
Okay.
Find a 3 and lay it. If you think that Dallas is going to lose tonight, maybe you take the +3.5 right now. With Washington, although doing anything with Washington right now, that's I give credit for Ron Rivera for this quote. After miss 2-point, I give him credit for Riverboat Ron going for 2 at the end. That's what a coach of a losing team is supposed to do. And I like this quote. I want to win. I'm playing to win. I'm trying to get our players to understand this is how we do things. We do things to the max. We play to win games. It bugs me because we lost. It pisses me off. I want to win games. I don't care that it's my first year here. I don't care we have a group of young guys that have to learn. They will learn how to win. All right. The Redskins are there's my dollar in the good about it. The Washington Football Team has trailed by double digits in the first half of all 6 of their games. Their defense has allowed 9 plays of 40 yards or more. Last year for the full season, they only gave up 13. And again, against the G-Men yesterday, Washington they did enough not to get crushed against a very bad team. But again, in the NFL pantheon right now, Washington is number 3. I do think the Jets and the Jags are 32 and 31, but Washington's 30. And you talk about a team that's 30 and it's a divisional game, but they're only 3.5 point dogs. I can't anticipate we're going to see a ton of skins money between now and Sunday.
No. And Teddy, I mean, so with the -3s out there, is it something you would recommend jumping on right now? Or I guess -3, -120 would be the best number I'm seeing at circa.
If you like Dallas tonight, grab a 3. Because again, if Dallas looks good against Arizona, they'll come 3.5, 4, 4.5. There's not going to be a 3 out there. However, if Arizona beats them and Andy Dalton looks like Andy Dalton, big game Andy Dalton, playoff Andy Dalton, I still don't think it comes 2.5. 3 is as low as it's going to go. I would be very shocked to see that it's got 2.5 on that game, even if Dalton looks terrible.
All right, Teddy, we got 457, 458 up next. Detroit at Atlanta. Falcons looking good the past weekend. -3, 57 being the total in Mercedes-Benz.
Look ahead line, Atlanta -1. My powering number, Atlanta -1. The market's moved to 3. Both teams look good yesterday. When you talk about two teams that have gotten off to crappy starts that have some potential or some upside, both these teams have it, and we've seen the Falcons be dead in the water midway through the season, each of the last 2 years. And both times they saved Dan Quinn's job. They didn't do it this year, but by playing good ball down the stretch, and playing like they cared. They played like they cared yesterday. Raheem Morris quotes, "I can't worry about where it's been. I just have to worry about where it's going." More Morris. "The offensive guys led me. They got me going in the right direction to be aggressive. Today I gave those guys the keys and they took them and ran with it." The defense stepped up. The secondary played well. They had a goal line stand. They went 3 of 3 on 4th downs. They went on 4th downs. For a team that played very, very poorly early on, obviously, that was the buy sign from Atlanta. Now the question is, does it hold? There was a buy sign from Detroit yesterday. Again, a team that came out of the break. And again, much like Atlanta, they played the right team at the right time. Atlanta got a Minnesota team that was a no-show, and the Lions got a Jaguars team that's really struggling. But they were getting chunk plays on offense. Their punter, one of these things we don't talk about very much. We don't talk about special teams enough on this show. I talk about it more in college than in the NFL. But their punter leads the NFL in gross punting and net punting. Those things matter over the course of a season. Stafford's seen this field well. 10 different Lions receivers caught balls yesterday. 180 rushing yards on offense. They stuffed the run on D. That's not Detroit. So you ask yourself, was it Jacksonville that bad? Or is there some buy sign in Detroit? There may well be some. But certainly the market's excited about Atlanta. Look ahead was 1. Both teams look good. And the market opens 3 today. And we're seeing at least a little bit of Falcons money. So from a value standpoint, the 1 and 5 Falcons still have a surprisingly big betting bandwagon amongst sharp bettors, and that is certainly influencing this number.
Check Teddy covers out at Wager Talk and sportsmemo.com. He's 80% in his NFL 5%. Also 60% October NFL. And my favorite stat here, guys, 199 and 154, 56% in the NFL since week 1 of 2015. So over the long term, beating the NFL betting markets. Check him out. Teddy covers Wager Talk at sports and sportsmemo.com. Teddy, heading back to the NFC South here. Carolina at New Orleans. We got 51.5 being the total. Looks like the New Orleans Saints -7 in the hook in the Big Easy.
Yeah, something's happening here because this line just came off the board in a couple places. I was just looking to see if I could find out why. I think there's a chance that McCaffrey comes off the IR this week, and that might be it. But I'm really not sure why a couple of key books just pulled this game down, and I like to know. That said, we can certainly talk about the look-ahead line, which was 7. We can talk about my powering number, which is 5. We can talk about the markets now, which is 7.5, and we can call this an emergency betting alert because I do think this number comes back down to 7.
Doodly-oop.
Yeah, let's doodly-oop it right here. This is one that absolutely stood out to me. The over 51 is taking heat as well. I'm not. It hasn't gone crazy yet. I think that the money. I don't think that the Saints go off more than 7, and I do think this total gets bet up. New Orleans, of course, coming off that impressive come from behind win against the Chargers. They failed to cover in that ballgame on Monday Night Football and in the bye week. And Carolina yesterday played like a team, like a losing team that had won a couple of games, and they were a little bit, they weren't sharp. I mean, they really weren't sharp. Teddy Bridgewater got sacked on the second play of the game. He threw interception on the third. He scrambled 4 times on the next series. He spent the whole game on the run for that Bears defense, against that Bears defense. And the offense really struggled in the red zone yesterday, which was a problem for Carolina early in the season. New Orleans defense has been a major disappointment. I'll call it a major disappointment so far this campaign. We'll see if Sean Payton has that fixed when they come out of the bye. That said, no surprise if we see a little bit of Panthers money between now and kickoff.
And Teddy, shout out to the chat box here. Davy Jones, Christian Larson, Las Vegas Chris posting Panthers shutting their facility and have players and coaches work remotely after an unconfirmed positive test result that now is being rerun. So that's from the chat box, Teddy.
That's awesome. Thanks for the info, guys. And with that info, let's undoodly-oop. Undoodly-oop, undoodly-oop, undoodly-oop. It's not going down. Forget the previous doodly-oop. When you have a COVID outbreak, and especially when you see stuff like the way the Patriots played yesterday. We'll talk about that. But with a COVID outbreak, and that's, again, a concern you have on a Monday morning when the news is breaking. But it's an unduly oop. I apologize if anyone, if I feel bad if anyone bet it in that moment, but I hope you didn't. But yeah, that's all I can say about that.
Okay, so for the first time in show history, we have an undoodly-oop here in the Carolina-New Orleans game, and that will leave us to 463-464. Next game on the docket, 10 a.m. Pacific kick here in Buffalo at the New York Jets here. I didn't mean to laugh at the New York Jets there, but we got Buffalo Bills minus 11 on the highway. Looks like 48 being the total limited marketplace here. Buffalo, New York Jets, Teddy.
Yeah, with the Monday night, I didn't really talk about this with Dallas on Monday night. Certainly Buffalo playing tonight. If the Bills look good, the line will go up. If the Bills look bad, the line won't go down that much. And that's the truth of it because it's the Jets right now. Look ahead line with Buffalo minus 10. Now, my powering number is off. It's intentionally off because I put the Jets in a position right now, powering-wise, where I will never be tempted to bet them.
Okay.
You know? So my number is, I just keep dropping the Jets and keep dropping the Jets. And I don't want to be tempted and say, oh, my numbers show, the Jets are the worst team in the NFL. It's not that close. Jacksonville's number 31, but the Jets are 32. Joe Flacco, when you get a chance to, what I say last week, when you get a chance to bet against Joe Flacco, take it.
Oh, yeah.
Did I lay with Miami? I did not. I wish I would listen to myself some freaking time. Anyhow, look headline 10, my powering number 13.5. The markets were at 9.5, 10 last night. Now it's 11, and it's going to only, the Jets will not take money. And some of the things yesterday from the Jets are even worse. Now you have obviously Greg Williams is an asshole, and Greg Williams has always been an asshole as defensive coordinator. No one ever liked that guy. But now Williams and Gase, okay, the defensive coordinator and the coach are literally taking turns throwing each other under the bus. You have Frank Gore, we can't wait till the effing fourth quarter. We can't effing wait till the fourth quarter to effing wait to start playing ball. I'm sick of it. Gase, we haven't done anything well this year at all. We just hurt ourselves so much. Last year, we trended in the right direction. We improved. This year, we have to figure out a way to improve really quickly from top to bottom. Coaches, players, it doesn't matter. Everybody, we have to get things better. Good luck with that, coach. The clock is ticking. And the Jets, in many ways, are unbackable right now. I'm not going to get to the window backing the Jets. If this line gets to 14, I'm not going to get to the window to back the Jets. The bottom feeders are very difficult to make money with. Let's see what Buffalo looks like tonight, and especially what that Bills defense looks like tonight. And again, it does make a difference, Flacco versus Darnold. Flacco is unbackable.
Teddy, we got a bunch going on here in the chat box. Mr. Mississippi saying, Ron saying he was my high school coach in 1984 to 1986. Yes, he was a jerk. So some firsthand interaction there. Also, something that caught my eye when you said the New York Jets, you moved your numbers so you're never tempted about it. I do this more in college in terms of I'll go through, make my numbers before the openers, and then I'll just do like a little arrow. That's my own thing in terms of only one way. Like I'm not looking to bet the other side. Sure. Do you have any advice out there for new bettors in terms of when you say unbackable? Is there a price where the Jets would be? If this was 17.5, would you then look at it, or is there absolutely no number?
I mean, 31.5, I'd be interested. You know?
Okay, so it's absolutely ridiculous.
There's a number that's insane, but in the modern NFL marketplace, there's not a number that
doesn't happen, right?
That's going to get there. If the Jets were plus 20, I would have a hard time getting the window with them.
Okay. We got Green Bay at Houston up next. We're seeing the Packers off of this is kind of an interesting handicap on how to go about the Aaron Rodgers and the Packers here. Seeing mostly 3 in the hooks. There is a 3 minus juice at bookmaker right now. 56 being the total. Green Bay at Houston, Teddy.
And I don't have an emergency betting alert on this because it's the 3 minus 25. And 3 minus 25 is the same as 3.5.
Okay.
Essentially, it's the same bet. We're not seeing the market differential. Sometimes you see a 3, 3 minus 110 somewhere and a 3.5, even money somewhere else. That's a positive expectation differential. I didn't do okay. Well, here, let's start with this. Look ahead line: Green Bay 3.5. My powering number: Green Bay 2.5. The markets are mostly at 3.5 this morning. Total of 56, and that total can only go up. The Texans another shootout yesterday.
Yeah.
I had a crap weekend. I got one thing really right. That was a 5%er on the Tampa Bay against Green Bay. I thought Green Bay was somewhat fraudulent. I did not trust that team off a bye week. Second year in a row under LaFleur, they come out of the bye. When they went into the bye fat and happy and came out of the bye as flat as a pancake. 40 dropbacks from the Packers, 107 net passing yards yesterday. They went 14-4 last year, counting the playoffs. 1 win, 1 loss in the postseason. All 4 losses came by a touchdown or more. 3 of them were blowouts. When things go wrong for the Packers, Aaron Rodgers quits and the defense quits. And we saw, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm happy I had Tampa Bay, but in the third quarter, I'm like, geez, Aaron Rodgers, nothing there. Someone's texting me. I'm like, shut up, don't text me, I was all stressed out. And I'm like, I'm going against Aaron Rodgers here, dude. You don't say anything in the third quarter. Go F yourself,
Right.
And here's this quote. You don't ever want to lose like this. I felt we needed a little bit of a wake-up call at some point this season because things have been so good. There's been so much talk maybe outside the building about the ease in which we're moving the ball on offense and scoring. I think we kind of needed a kick in the ass a little bit. There's a little bit of a wake-up to stop feeling ourselves so much and get back to the things that got us this position. I think this would be, unfortunately, but fortunately, something we can really grow from. All right, that's the right quote. You're supposed to say that. Texas quotes weren't right after the game. That was a tough loss. And Cornell's taking heat for doing the right thing. Sean Watson throws his first interception of the season in the fourth quarter. Let's talk about that 2-point conversion for a minute, Drew. What do you think? With the Texans up 7 late, going for 2 to try to put the game out of reach. Is that the right move? Did you like that move? Or do you think they should have kicked the extra point and make them need a touchdown and the 2-point conversion to tie?
It's an interesting question, but no, I don't, because what the numbers are 47% conversion rate on 2-point conversion. So you would rather be the defensive side than the offensive side. That's what I would go to, is just look at the past numbers on 2-point conversion. So no, I don't think it was the right decision. What do you think?
I loved it. I thought it was the best move you can make.
Okay.
Absolutely. I will not give Romeo Cornell any difficulty for doing that. This is why.
Okay.
If you make the 2-point conversion, you win. You're up 9. The game's over. Either way, if you kick the extra point, you got to get a stop. The other way, you don't need a stop.
You only need the stop on the 2-point conversion, though, and then you win as well.
Yes, but you need a stop. If you're up 9, you don't need a stop.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
and you might need to look into it more. I'm just going over the full numbers here. If your defense is up against it and the defensive line is going to get pushed back, that does change things. And I'm not, in the locker room knowing that. So
Sure. And that's one of the dangers of using aggregate stats. I don't mean to put you on the spot. Hey, Drew, but
it's okay.
But that's your role. I gotta put you on the spot every once in a while. But it really is a situation where you can win the game, and a coach that makes an aggressive move, like when Zimmer went for it on 4th down instead of kicking the field goal to go 8 in Seattle, and they didn't make it, and they ended up losing as a result. I don't care. It's still the right move. The coach is making the move to seal the win. And if it doesn't execute, it doesn't execute. That said, Texans are now 1-5. They play with a lot of heart, but I don't know. I want to look at what losing teams off an overtime loss are doing. This is one I want to see some analytics to get involved. To the line move, again, it's 3.5 mostly right now, and I don't necessarily see any strong indicators it's going to move off of that number initially.
Okay, he's Teddy Covers on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. Guys, thanks for joining us live each and every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Simulcast on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Feel free to chime in the chat box. Also, if you're watching on replay, the comments below, always love seeing that. And please smash the like button. And also, if you like consuming content via podcast, remember the Sports Memo podcast. Find it wherever you're downloading your podcasts at. We got 467, 468 up next. Teddy, Seattle at Arizona. We're seeing a limited marketplace here, but Seattle -3 in the hook. There is a -4 out there at circa 55 being the total, Teddy.
And I apologize. I want to go back and say one last thing about the Packers. Sometimes I miss when there's key injury info. I want to give it to you guys, and if I miss it, I got to go back to it. The Pro Bowl left tackle David Bakhtiari got hurt yesterday. He left in the second half. His status is questionable. They also lost a pair of defensive starters. Green Bay did in that ball game. Now we're talking, which game would you just bring up? Seattle, Arizona?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, so Seattle had a bye week. Arizona plays tonight. There's no market push on this game whatsoever right now. Look ahead line, Seattle -3.5. My powering number, Seattle only -1. And if you notice, my powering number for both Dallas and Arizona was a little bit off market. I had Dallas 6, and the markets are only 3.5 against Washington. And here, the look ahead was 3.5. My powering number is only 1 for Seattle over Arizona. So I think I have both those teams priced higher than the markets are right now. Although I have the Seahawks a little bit lower than the broader markets. Their defense has been so bad. And we're looking at 3.5 here. But again, this is all likely to move on what happens tonight. If Arizona looks good, the number may come a little bit shorter. I don't know if it's going to come. I think it still comes 3.5. If Arizona blows them out, then maybe it comes 3. But Seattle's got a big bandwagon in the markets that I would think may well still merit the 3.5 out there, even if Arizona looks good tonight.
Teddy, we got San Francisco at New England up next. We're seeing 45.5 being the total. New England -3 now, dropped pretty precipitously off of the open there, Teddy.
Yeah, well, again, the look ahead line here was 5.5. My powering number is 2, and the markets really don't know what to do with this. It's sitting at 3 right now. Both these teams certainly had very disparate performances yesterday. Belichick off a loss has been a pretty strong bet on long term. The Patriots had only 1 full pad practice over a 2-week span because of all the COVID issues. Bill Belichick, quote, "We need more time together. We need to practice together. We need to execute and do everything better." No question about that. I mean, they were, that was a rough game. Of course, Patriots haven't been under 500 in October since 2002. That was also the last time they didn't win 10 games in a season. But the offensive line was a disaster area yesterday. A disaster area yesterday. Cam rushed 10 times for 76 yards. The 3 running backs rushed 15 times for 41 yards. And the defense got pushed around in the line of scrimmage too. And they lost their starting right tackle during the game as well. So these are issues. Big issues for New England moving forward. Here's a Shanahan quote. After the Niners were pretty strong, certainly the defense was able to dominate, and Garoppolo was okay. Shanahan talking about the loss of the Dolphins the previous week. When you get embarrassed like that, you can find out a lot about your team. I was very impressed with the character of our team and the way they carried themselves, the way they came out to practice Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and really the way they responded to all of us getting embarrassed. They tried to get better this week and not worry about anything else. And usually when you do that, you can put together those type of practices, and usually the results are better. I'm glad they were, because I thought they really earned it throughout the week and today. Does that match for next week? That's the question. This will be a it's a late game. I thought it was it's not an early start game, but there's a lot of questions for New England on this one, certainly. And again, powering the look ahead line was 5.5, powering number 2.5. The market's at 3 right now. Let's see if the Patriots get some practice in this week. As for San Fran, I'm not convinced all their problems are solved. The under here could well take a fair bit of money. Both these teams look like under teams moving forward.
Yeah, good point. I like that under as well, Teddy. We got Teddy's Monday Night Moneymaker up and available at Wager Talk and Sports Memo, discounted to just $9 for $9 Monday, guys. Every play at Wager Talk and Sports Memo, discounted to $9 each and every Monday. Check out Teddy's Monday Night Moneymaker. We got Kansas City at Denver up next here, Teddy. -9 or -9 in the hook. That's the Chiefs laying a mile high, 49 being the total here, Teddy.
Look ahead line, Kansas City -9. My powering number, Kansas City -10. And the markets right now are in that 9.5 range. Obviously, let's see what the Chiefs look like on Monday Night Football. So if you watch Denver and New England yesterday, I mean, there were some really positive signs from the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Lock did a good job getting rid of the ball under pressure. Until the end of the game when he tried to give the game back. The defense forced turnovers, 3 turnovers, 4 sacks, which is, they stuffed the run. They dominated the line of scrimmage. And they didn't punt until the fourth quarter. That's doing things right in many regards, but they didn't score touchdowns. Locke, despite testing the defense deep, was only completed 10 passes for the game, and both of his interceptions were potential crushers at the with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You can't be throwing picks like that. So positives for Denver, certainly an impressive victory, but it will be a divisional showdown if the Chiefs look good. I don't know if this line opens 10 if the Chiefs look good tonight. I still think it's 9.5 is the appropriate line here. And if we do see Kansas City, if Kansas City wins 55-0, it might be one of these deals where it's 10.5. But I would anticipate the 9.5 range for the opener which is where the look ahead line was right at 9.
All right, Teddy. Next game, we're heading to our where we're at right now, Las Vegas here. 473, 474. The Sunday night game, Tampa Bay Bucks at the Las Vegas Raiders. We got the Bucks -3 here in the desert, 53 the total at Allegiant Stadium, Teddy, with, I believe, still no fans.
Doodly-oop, doodly-oop, doodly-oop.
Doodly-oop, doodly-oop.
The money's coming for the Raiders. If you like Vegas, take +3 right now.
Okay.
Look ahead line, pick 'em. My powering number, pick 'em. Opener 2.5, 3 is mostly 3s right now. I don't think those are going to hold. For as good as the Bucks look defensively yesterday, a lot of that was Green Bay being out of sync on offense, and Tampa scored. They got 30. They got the 38 in that game. They scored 4 touchdowns and 4 red zone tries in the first half. Don't be fooled. Tom Brady was not good yesterday. Again. In fact, yesterday might even be more of a concern for how Brady looked in that ball game. Green Bay ran out of gas in the heat, and they turned the ball over. There was a pick 6 that turned that game around, and then a second turnover from Rodgers on literally his next pass attempt. And it was boom, boom. It went from 10-0 Green Bay to 14-10 Tampa. And then they had a couple of good drives and took control of the game. But, no penalties yesterday. The refs were on their side, not a single penalty. They did a good job on Rodgers defensively, and the defense played really well, even without Vita Vea. But there are concerns for Tampa offensively, and last week's win was a big win for that team. It is one of those spots you can already see the market circling on the Raiders coming off the bye, coming off the win, the impressive upset win over Kansas City. I expect Las Vegas to take the money in this one. +3. Grab it now if you're going to grab it. I'm not convinced they're going to be there.
Teddy, one thing I wanted to ask you, because a repeatable stat that I thought you said was Patricia off the bye, off of a win, fat and happy through the bye, looking to fade that. Is that something that worries you here with the Raiders, or totally different situation?
That's a team in, team out scenario.
Okay.
So it's not. I mean, when you look at the broader markets, you make it a picture. I'm interested in how does this coach and this team do in this situation.
Right.
I haven't honestly, and you always want to look for the nuance. You can't just look at the final score and say, oh, this is what happened. You go back and read the recap and say, oh, yeah, they were without their quarterback this time, or, oh, something bad happened here. Again, that's the advantage of doing this full time is that we get to look into that stuff. And it's really hard to do when you're working for it. That's why people pay us for our picks sometimes, because we have the opportunity to do that. But the answer is, I don't know. I'll have to research what Gruden looks like off the bye.
Okay.
And what cars are, because that's not something that's not something I've gotten done by 10 a.m. Monday morning. We'll get there.
Yeah, no, there will be a good one. That's a good Sunday nighter there with the Tampa Bay Bucks at the Las Vegas Raiders. We got looks like also the write-in game with all the scheduling changes, guys. It is NFL 2020. We got 479, 480 Jacksonville at the LA Chargers. We got Chargers -8 or -8 in the hook, 49.5, Teddy.
Yeah, we have two. There's two write-ins. There's Pittsburgh, Tennessee, and Jacksonville, and the Chargers. We'll talk Pittsburgh, Tennessee next. Look ahead line here, 6.5 for the Chargers. My powering number 9. The markets today, what are we looking at? Like 8s in this game. And I mean, literally right now on the Wager Talk live odds screen, on the Sports Memo live odds screen, I'm seeing a 7 -20 offshore, and I'm seeing an 8.5 here in town. So there is legitimate variance on this game as we speak. It takes a leap of faith to get on the Jags right now. And again, they're not as bad as the Jets, I don't think. And I don't blame Doug Marrone. Everyone's like, Doug Marrone. The defense is now giving up 30 points in each of their last 5 games. Marrone said, I'm going to stick with Todd Wash as my coordinator. It's not a coordinator problem. They just don't have that much talent. Minshew had that great week 1 where he completed 95% of his passes, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Since that time, 8 touchdowns, 5 INTs, but 5 of the 8 touchdowns came when the Jags were trailing by double digits. 9 games they're rallying from behind.
Yeah, padding the stats. Yeah,
it's rough for Jacksonville right now. And again, they missed another kick. They brought in John Brown, who had never attempted a field goal or a point after at any level. And surprise, surprise, he missed, a 33-yarder in that game, a 32-yarder in that game. There is talk that Josh Lambo could come off injured reserve for this ball game. Chargers had the bye. So there's nothing. Well, it's an interesting scenario. There was wise guy support for the Jags last week. Maybe we see some this week. Again, great variance right now. But Jacksonville, we haven't seen a true full market crash on the Jags yet. We might.
In the last write-in game here, Teddy, we got Pittsburgh at Tennessee. We're seeing the Steelers, I believe, flip favorite here now, -1.5 to -2-point road favorites, 52.5 being the total in Nashville, Teddy.
And this was a doodle-oop, too. That's why I wanted to get to it. Unfortunately, we've already seen a fair bit of, in the last hour, we've seen a whole lot of money come for Pittsburgh. I would not be surprised if we see more money coming for the Steelers. If you like the Steelers, find a 1.5 or a money line and lay it now. That's the way I anticipate the money coming in. Look ahead line was Pittsburgh 3. My powering number is Pittsburgh 1. We've already seen the markets move from 1 to 1.5 and 2 on this one. Worth noting, Steelers playing very slow. They played very slow yesterday. There was 30 seconds between every offensive snap, which wasn't good for anyone that had the over in that ball game. They did lose a key defender, their defensive play caller, Devin Bush, out with a knee injury. Looks like he has an ACL tear and will be out for this season. He had played every defensive snap until he got hurt. And Pittsburgh really, that was a statement game for the Steelers. Mike Tomlin talked about how they played JV ball the previous week and struggled in third downs. And his quote, that was varsity ball today. They stepped up big across the board, dominant performance on defense. As for the Titans, he had look, is Ryan Tannehill an MVP candidate?
They score touchdowns, Teddy. What was the stat?
Sure
he had 2 touchdown passes for how many games in a row? That was a crazy stat.
They got 600 yards of offense yesterday. They were -2 in turnovers and still won and covered. Now, impact injury, Taylor Lewin, the left tackle, looks like he could be out for the year for the Titans, but they played without him before. I'm worried about the Titans kicking game as well. Gostkowski had one other one of those games where he's missing go-ahead 37. That's one thing if you miss a 50-yarder. You can't be missing go-ahead 37-yarders in the second half, and Gostkowski did that yesterday. It worked for the Titans, and all of a sudden done. Of course, when you have a running back like Derrick Henry and you have a tired defense and you win the coin toss in overtime, it's good news for you. Tennessee did that yesterday. But like I said, I do anticipate the money coming for Pittsburgh. There's a lot of talk about the Steelers right now as being, a top 3 team in the NFL.
Guys, check out Teddy Covers at WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. We got one game left here. Look ahead at next week's Monday Nighter. But Teddy has his Teddy's Monday Night Moneymaker for tonight's game, discounted to just $9, normally $25. So check it out at WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. He's 80% in his 5% NFL plays, 60% in the month of October NFL. And my favorite stat, guys, 199 and 154, 56% in the NFL since 2015. So over the long term, beating the NFL betting markets. Check them out on WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. We got Chicago at the LA Rams, Teddy, for next week's Monday Nighter, 46 being the total. We're seeing -5 in the hook or -6 at Westgate. That's the Rams laying at home.
Look ahead line 7. My powering number 3.5.
Ooh.
Though I had to start giving the Bills some respect, the Bears some respect yesterday. And I don't want to give them too much respect. I really don't. But they're winning ugly. And when you have a team that's winning ugly, you got to pay attention. Matt Nagy, right? Oh, everyone hates that guy, right? What a jerk. What an idiot. Do you realize that Matt Nagy, 25-13 in the regular season in 3 years as the Bears coach, it's the best mark after 38 games by any Bears coach since George Halas. He retired in 1968. Now, obviously, you have Ditka, but they're 25-13. They're shockers. I mean, it's not shocking, but Nagy's a coach that takes a ton of criticism, a ton of criticism. And Chicago is certainly overachieved. They got my money yesterday, unfortunately. That was a stupid play in retrospect. A team like Carolina wasn't ready to go on a winning streak, and they weren't. The defense, 3 takeaways yesterday, 4 sacks yesterday, 1 touchdown, and only 3 red bone possessions, and allowed only 3 third down conversions in 13 tries. I mean, it really was an impressive defense or whatever. 1 week after the defense dominated against Tampa. Chicago's winning ugly. Now, the offense is still, it is what it is. I mean, Foles is okay at best. At least he's not turning it over. They have plenty of skill position talent, but here's another one on Nagy. They won 4 straight road games twice in 3 years under Nagy. They did some in 2018-19. They did it again last year and this year. So for whatever it's worth, I don't want to talk about the Bears too excitedly. But Chicago coming off a very satisfying win. The Rams coming off a pretty frustrating loss. Goff versus as Tony A saying, a Bears Super Bowl caliber defense. We don't like Goff against good defenses. We saw what happened when he played a good defense last night, and it wasn't pretty. Originally, I thought this line was going to go up. I thought, it has to go to 6. It has to go to 6. And the market's kind of split between 5.5 and 6. And I thought about using the emergency betting alert on this one. And the more I thought about it, given the Bears' defensive stats, I know the broader end, given how bad the Rams looked that week on national TV last night, I'm not convinced it does go up. It might. It's not going to hurt you to lay the 5.5 if you like the Rams here now. I don't think it's going to go down a whole lot, but I'm not convinced that it goes up. I'm really not. Originally, I thought that the money will come for the Rams, and now I'm a little bit more tepid with that opinion.
Good stuff, as always, from Teddy Covers at Teddy_Covers on Twitter. Check out his work, Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com. He's got his Monday night play up, and it's discounted to just $9 for $9 Monday at SportsMemo.com. Teddy, is there anything else you wanted to throw out before we shut this down?
Oh, John, I'm just looking at I'm looking at the chat stuff, and there's so many things I want to comment. Jamal Madison, Allen Robinson is so underrated. Agree, they're nuts. Allen Robinson is a monster. The Bears have so much skills and talent. Clint says, no more rants for me. And that's something as a bettor you want to be aware of. Someone slapped you around last week. Doesn't mean you don't jump on them this week. I had a bad play on Cincinnati plus the points against the Ravens. All right. If I was smart, I would have bet Cincinnati plus the points against Indy. There was a bounce back spot, and they showed it. I wasn't smart. That was my mistake. Don't make the same mistakes that I did. As you mentioned, we do have one play up Monday Night Football tonight, $9 Monday. But never buy a play. Honestly, get a pack. If you want to see what we can do, get a package. I had a crap weekend. When I have a crap weekend, I'm not really much fun to hang out with. But you want my picks the next week. I'll say that much. We didn't get the big ticket yesterday, the 5%er, and the 5%ers have been great in the NFL all year. That's what I have to say, I guess. I don't know. What do you have to say, Drew?
I'm saying Teddy's in bounce back mode. Check him out, sportsmemo.com. Buy low opportunity, just like the stock market. Catch Teddy off of a loss. It is a bounce back opportunity here, Teddy. So, man, good show. Like always, appreciate everybody in the chat box joining us live, simulcast on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, 10 a.m. Pacific time each and every Monday. Shout out to the chat box, guys. If you're watching on replay, feel free to drop a comment below. Please smash the like button on your way out. Remember to download the podcast, Sports Memo Podcast, wherever you're downloading your podcast, Teddy.
Yeah, cheers. Hey, thanks so much, guys. I understand this show's really blowing up this year, and we really appreciate it. If you like the show, we ask only one thing. Tell your friend. That's it. Just tell your friend. Thank you. Have a great day. Have a great week. What do we got? We got everything on the board. That will
on Wednesday.
Yeah, we post that later in the week, and we'll talk to you then.
Guys, for Teddy Covers, I'm Drew Martin. Have a fun, safe week, and cash those bets, guys. Thanks for joining us.